Today we are making a stuffed sweet bread, which is going to be star shaped. The stuffing is going to be made of red beans which have been sweetened, and to make the stuffing we need 3 ingredients. We need the red beans. We have 3/4 cup of adzuki beans here. We will use sugar, anywhere between 3/4 cup to 1 cup of sugar based on your taste preference, and we will use water to soak and cook the beans. I'm using hot water to soak the beans for faster cooking, and I'll let this soak for about an hour. So while our beans are soaking, we can start working on our dough. So what we have here is 2 cups of all-purpose flour. We have sugar. This is 3 tablespoons of sugar, 1/4 cup of potato flour, 2 teaspoons of yeast. This is instant rapid rise yeast, a teaspoon of salt, 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter, 1/2 cup of water. I don't use warm water. I usually use room temperature water just to make sure that I'm not killing the yeast. If the water becomes slightly warmer than what the yeast can handle, it can completely mess up your dough. So it's just safer to use room temperature water. It'll just delay your rise a little bit, but it'll make sure that the yeast doesn't die. And then 1/2 cup of milk. Again, I have warmed it up in the microwave for about 20 seconds so it is at room temperature instead of being cold straight from the fridge. And then we will need 1 teaspoon of pure vanilla extract. So we have our red beans. They have been soaking for about 20 minutes now, and as you can see, they're starting to plump up. The beans have been soaking for about an hour, and I have now have drained out the water, and I'm going to pressure cook this in my Instant Pot. You can use any kind of a pressure cooker, and you can also boil this on a stove top, though it'll take much longer to cook it unless you had soaked them overnight. I'm going to use 2 cups of water to cook these. Close the lid, put it on the sealed mode, and cook the beans for 30 minutes on the beans chili mode, and if needed, cook them longer. I'm going to start working on the dough next. This is the bowl of my stand mixer, and you can use a food processor or your hands to knead the dough. Just remember, kneading dough by hand will take a much longer time. Add all of the milk, half of the water so we can control the texture of our bread, and we'll add water later on if needed. We'll add some sugar, which is going to help the yeast. Next, add the yeast and then let this mixture sit for about 10 minutes till it becomes nice and frothy. That way you know that the yeast is still active and it is a good batch. I will use this time to sift our potato flour and all-purpose flour so that there are no lumps. My stand mixer is fitted with a dough blade, and as you can see, the mixture is frothy, so we are ready to add our next ingredients. I'm adding the salt followed by the butter. Next is the vanilla essence. I have turned on the mixer at a very low speed of about 2, and I'm going to add our flour mixture to this next. Now I'm going to add the rest of our water in, about 1 tablespoon at a time, just to make sure that the dough comes together, and we want it to be a nice soft dough but not too wet or sticky. I have a nice soft dough ready now, and I used all but 1 tablespoon of water for this. I'm going to place the dough on a lightly floured surface and give it a final knead before shaping it. I'm now going to shape this in a ball by tucking the dough, as you can see, and then place it in a lightly greased bowl to rise. The dough is now shaped into a ball, and we're going to let this rise for about an hour till it doubles. The potato flour will help retain the moisture, but it is an optional ingredient. You can skip it. Cover the bowl with a cling wrap so that the dough doesn't dry out as it rises. We have 2 cups of cooked beans. I'm going to use one for the filling and one for something else. Next, I'm going to blend together 1 cup of cooked beans and 3/4 cup of sugar. The red bean paste is really soft, so I'm going to cook it for a few minutes to thicken it. Now that the red bean paste is thick, I'll turn off the heat and our filling is ready. It has been an hour and our dough has doubled. Now we'll get on to shaping the dough. Deflate the dough and cut it into 4 equal parts. Having a square shaped dough will make it easier to cut it into 4 equal parts. Shape each piece into a ball by tucking it under. I have let the dough balls rest for 10 minutes so that they're easier to roll out, and also divided our filling into 3 equal parts, and now I'm ready to roll out the dough and stuff it with the filling. So I use a cutting board as my rolling surface. Just flour it lightly and then roll this out into a 10-inch circle. I've rolled the first piece of dough into a 10-inch circle. This will be the base layer of our bread. I'm going to place this on a baking sheet lined with parchment paper. This is 1 well-whisked egg, which is going to be used as an egg wash and will help adhere our stuffing to the bread. If you don't eat eggs, you can use milk instead. To fill the bread, I'm going to dot our dough with 1/3 of our red bean paste and then use my fingertips to spread it around so that I don't stretch the dough by trying to spread it using a spatula or other means. Repeat these steps 2 more times. Now this is our final 4th layer, and next we will cut the dough and shape it. So I'm going to cut it into 4 equal parts. Use a sharp knife to do that. And this is basically preventing us from cutting all the way into the center of the bread, and that'll keep the bread in one piece. And it's time to twist our bread. I did go around and make sure that the pieces are separated from each other before I started twisting them. So you take these 2 pieces of bread, you turn them around twice, and you join them together at the end. And I like to form nice and pointed tips here. So that's the first one. The next one, same thing. Twist it once, twist it again, and then you put the edges together. You get a pointy end. This is our last one. Get some space for it. And remember that you want to seal the edges really well, because the bread is now going to proof again and it's going to puff up. So if you have not sealed these edges properly, they will start separating out, and it will be really difficult to put them back together and have a nice shape and retain the shape after it's done puffing up the second time. Now cover the shaped dough with cling wrap and let it rest and rise for 45 minutes to an hour till it starts looking really puffy. While I was waiting for the bread to rise, I preheated the oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and as you can see, the bread has been rising for 50 minutes. It's really puffy and ready to go into the oven. So the final step is to apply our egg wash. This will ensure a nice shine and also ensure even browning. Just apply it gently, so you don't want to deflate the dough, and then it'll be ready to go into the oven. So the egg wash has been applied to the entire bread, and now I will put it into the oven. I'm putting the bread in the oven now and will bake it for approximately 20 minutes. I'll check on it at 15 minutes and continue baking it depending on the browning. So the bread has been cooking for 15 minutes now, and as you can see, it puffed up a little bit more as it baked and is starting to turn a nice brown color. I'm going to cook it for another 3 minutes to about 5 minutes, and then check the temperature and make sure that it has reached 200 Fahrenheit before I take it out of the oven. The bread has now baked for 20 minutes and it's a lovely golden brown color. I'm going to check the temperature now, and it has now reached 200, so it's ready to come out. As you can see, the bread is a lovely deep golden brown color, and I can't wait to eat it. The house is filled with this delicious aroma, and I'm going to let it cool for about 10 minutes before we eat it. Now it's time to eat the bread. And this is a fairly large piece. You can split it into half, but would you like the whole one?
Yes.
Okay. Want to give it a try?
Yes.
Huh? What do you think?
Good.
Do you like it? Do you like the red beans in it?
Mm-hmm. Yum. It's sweet and it's crispy, and the red bean filling tastes really good.
As you can see, we got a very nice rise. The bread has a beautiful texture, and it's light and crispy.